Hello everybody, this is Kevin here. So I'm just doing a video today on Mark IV TDI here, Mark IV Volkswagen Jetta. In this case it's a TDI. So presumably you're watching this video because when you go and run your AC or your heat, turn it on here. Cycle between these two, you are getting lukewarm air, or you're getting just cold air, or you're getting just warm air. So there's a couple different items that this can be caused by. So I did a little bit of research today. I'm by no means an expert with this, but what I was able to find is a couple different points of failure. So I'll just start off with the worst possible case. The worst case being your blend doors. They have these. It was decided at the point of designing this HVAC system to put some holes in these blend doors. These blend doors move like this. They're all the way back here, and basically what they do is, if I remember properly, is they go and adjust your heat and your cooling, as well as something about where it's blowing out of. At least that's what I was able to find online. Those are some of the symptoms. If you had issues with selecting between these, okay, so let's get to the point, right? So what could it possibly be? It could be the blend doors. It's the first thing. If that's the case, that is a pain. You need to go and take, if you want to go the hard way, you got to take everything apart, all of this, rip the dash, got to pull the steering wheel, go to those blend doors. That's one option. Second option is disassemble some parts over there, get through from the side, put some tape on these holes, and you're good to go if that's what's going on. Now remember, this is a system, right? The system has inputs and outputs. So how are we controlling these blend doors? Well, we have a cable that runs from this here, runs from here to this assembly down here. So first things first, what I suggest doing is you rip this cover here off. It's just got a Phillips fastener type deal here. You just unscrew it, comes right off. Then what you got to do is you have to go ahead and check down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play around with this. Now I'm sorry if the camera quality isn't the best. I'm just using my iPhone 11 Pro Max here, but it's I usually use a GoPro for videos, and I just thought I'd record this real quick just so that you all can take a look at this. I think that's better than not uploading anything at all. So I'm going to be playing around with this here control, and if you look down here, now I have already fixed this, and I'll get to how I fixed it at the end. However, if you look down here, it moves that lever. That there lever moves. Now in your case, you're more than likely not going to have that clearance, that section right there. So that part right there is this here part. That's this here part. So the first thing that this tells you, if you're able to go and turn this and that little actuator moves back and forth, that tells you that A, this here is functional, this component right here is functional. B, the cable is in okay shape, an okay enough shape to actuate it. And C, that little lever is connected successfully to it up to this here point. Now, a common failure here is for this cable to pop right off. So check that out. Make sure that cable's not popped off. If it is, put it back on, test it, and you go on your way. Good to go. If you're turning it and it's not moving at all, either you have a cable failure or you have a failure in this component right here. So you can go ahead and order that online, or go to a junkyard and go and find that. So if all those components are fine, then you have an issue with your blend doors. So you're gonna have to mess around with that. More than likely, not 100%, but more than likely, that's what's gonna be going on. Now, in my case, what happened here? Well, this here actuator pin, it failed. So there's some clips that go onto there that holds it into place. Those clips failed, and the whole assembly popped off, that lever assembly. So what was happening was I was turning this here back and forth. I was turning this back and forth, but that lever assembly, although it was moving, it was not up into that space, into this here upper assembly. So what I did was I went ahead and I pulled that lever off. All I had to do was just pull it down, pull it this way. The cable got a little bent, but it's still in okay shape. It's still functional. So once I took that off, I went ahead and I disassembled that lever assembly. It has 3 parts. So you have your fastener, you have your lever, and you have this here component. So this here part, it's not uncommon for this to fail. And as far as I know, this is a discontinued part by Volkswagen. So what you can do, if you have a 3D printer, you can go ahead and go online. I believe Yegi.com still has this model on their website. You can go and look for Mark IV, so just MK4 blend door pin, PIN, and go ahead and print that part. If you can't, go online, look up that same part that I just mentioned. People print them and sell them online. Disassemble that lever assembly, take it all apart, put it all together with this new pin. Now, during reassembly, you're more than likely going to run into an issue, especially if you're running the air and playing around with these controls while you're reassembling. So what'll happen is this blend door down here can move. So I don't know if something's broken in here, or I'm not sure if it's supposed to move back and forth like this, because ideally it's only supposed to move like this. Because what this here does is this goes up into that part and it goes like this. That's all we're doing. So if this here is up in that component and our blend door assembly here starts shifting back and forth, this might get out of our way. So we're not going to be able, we can go ahead and reinstall it, but it's not going to matter. That's not going to matter at all, because this here, we're just going to be putting it into that box, but it's not actually going to be making contact with that blend door. So what you can do, a little trick that I found, is you can take your phone, or you can take some sort of camera recording device and have a flashlight down in there and look into that. So put it down into that space and go ahead and just play around with your controls. So turn on the air like this, right? Pretend the air's still on, just so that I don't get any air going onto the mic here. And play around with your recirculate. Turn it on, turn it off, play around with these controls. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get it so that that blend door moves like this. So once that blend door is back in its right spot, what you can do is you can take your old part, especially if this here top part is intact, which typically it is. It's just these little clips that fail. You can stick that back in there and turn it manually. And if by doing that and running the air, you notice that your heat turns on and your AC, you can go and switch between heat and AC, more than likely means that you're good to go. So take it apart, re-inspect, make sure that that blend door is still in the right spot. Insert the assembly back in place, ensure that that assembly is going in line with that blend door. Pop it back into place, push it into place. Tolerances on my 3D printer weren't exactly the best, and hope, cross your fingers that it works. And in my case, turn this here on, turn my AC, and it sure does work. Nice cold air now. If I go and turn it back to the heat, shut off my AC, nice warm air. So a couple items to keep in mind there. Anyways, thanks for watching my video. Good luck and enjoy your Mark IV. Beautiful vehicle.